We have our esteemed guest, local resident, Frank Weltz.
Weltz.
Spell it.
W-E-L-T-Z.
W-E-L-T-Z. Frank Weltz. I met Frank on the street. He probably thought I was some nut job. I was parking my car, and I saw him walking with a pack, and I said, that guy's rucking. And I just had this mindset of, I like to know if people know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and rucking has become so popular, and of course, it's sort of associated with my gym and my friends, and I see it, gaining more and more popularity. So I said, Frank. Well, I didn't say Frank because I didn't know Frank at the time. I said, excuse me, sir. I said, you're rucking. Why are you rucking? So I posted that video up, and then he began to tell me the story of what he was doing, and I was so intrigued. I said, we've got to talk after you get back from your trip. So joining us, Eric, is Frank Weltz of Westchester, who did, there we go. Oh, there's our studio audience, Frank. So thank you for joining us. And so Frank did the Camino de Santiago, or as it's known, the Way of St. James. So it is a network of pilgrimage routes across Europe, mostly ending at the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela in northwestern Spain, where the tomb of the Apostle St. James is said to be located. While historically a Christian pilgrimage, people today also walk or cycle the routes for cultural or personal or physical challenges. So some people just say, hey, let's do this walk, or cycle. And, obviously you're going to see some great sights as you're strolling through Europe there. And it's quite a route. And the most popular route is the Camino Francais, which covers nearly 500 miles from the French border and takes about 35 days to complete at an average of 14 miles per day. So there's some other popular routes, but enough about me. Frank, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you. It's great to see you. You're looking great health. Last time I saw you, you had shorts on. So now it's a little colder out.
Well, it's interesting. During the walk, I only walked with shorts.
Okay.
Never had a long pair of pants. Didn't want to wear jeans or anything because it'd be too heavy. And they'd get wet and then it'd be dragging you down. So it was
wet
shorts
pants. Hiking in wet pants is no fun.
Not
I
fun
have
at all.
had to do it myself. It's not fun. So when did you do? First of all, we met. And then, so you got this bug to do the Camino de Santiago. Now, you told me, how did that happen?
It happened probably about a year or so ago. A real good friend, our best friend up in Glasgow, she actually works for Virgin, and she was on the flight with Martin Sheen, who did the movie The Way. And it was about this walk on the Camino.
I didn't even know. Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of people have seen the movie that actually walk on this walk, and that's one of the reasons they walk on it.
Sure.
They learn about it. And they got to talking, and she saw the movie ahead of time, and she got really involved with it. And we went to visit her in Scotland, and she showed us the movie. And one of the things in the movie, and this was a couple of years ago, this one guy, he was talking to Martin Sheen, who his son supposedly died on the Camino, and he was going to do the walk to commemorate his son.
Okay.
And the French guy who was helping Martin Sheen out said, he wants to do the walk once he turns 70. Well, I just turned 70 in August, and last year I decided, you know what? I'm turning 70. I'm going to do this walk.
Okay.
And I started preparing for it ahead of time because you absolutely have to.
I wouldn't think that at any age you just want to get up off the couch and try and walk 500 miles. As somebody who trains people, I would be like, you probably want to get a little practice in.
You want to do a lot of practice.
Yeah.
And I have, I belong to Longwood, and so I was out in Longwood. And,
okay.
And if
Longwood
you ever
member. That's a good
whole,
membership. Yeah.
The whole outside loop and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, if you do it 3 or 4 times in a day, it takes about 3 hours, and it's about 10 miles. So, you know, it's I started doing that about 2 or 3 times a week to get prepared for this. And the other thing that you need to prepare is there's a lot of books out there as to where to stay, how to decide how long you're going to walk each day.
Yeah, how to navigate the route, right?
What you're going to do, yeah.
Because, you know, as I'm, you know, again, this was just general information I pulled up on the Google here. It says it takes about 35 days. So when you're out there on the trail for a month, there has to be, you know, I have some friends and some people that I've trained that have done the Appalachian Trail. Mm-hmm. And it's a similar kind of thing. Like, you have to prepare. So many people do it, though, that now there's lots of books and information out there to kind of give you, like, hey, here's some best practices, some tips. Some people, like on the Appalachian Trail, they will send food ahead of them at various towns that they know the trail goes through, so they, you know, or gear, so they can switch out gear, you know, as if, depending on the seasons, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So, all right, so you got lots of books. Did some reading. Books,
read up on the best places to stay and how much you want to do. As you pointed out, you know, you don't walk. Well, you can walk every day, or you can decide how you want to walk and do the things. I set it up that it was going to be a 34-day outing.
Okay.
And but there was going to be 3 days in which me and my buddy that walked with me, Alan Koski, we decided to do this together because, again, you know, you have to decide how you want to do it, who you're going to do it with, and those type of things. Alan and I, we walk basically pretty fast at the same pace.
Okay,
and he's a little younger than me, and he's in better shape than me, so I knew that he was going to be a good partner. So
I gotcha. Yeah, it's like iron sharpens iron a little bit, right?
Yeah,
you definitely don't want to pick somebody who's like, oh, I don't know, I don't really like walking.
Or they can't do it.
Or they can't, right. That would surely slow you down. Or somebody who's not going to prepare, you know, and then they're kind of like, oh, maybe I'll do it. They're not as excited about doing it. Yeah, you know, you want to have a good training partner for sure, somebody you know.
Yeah, and the books that you get, and there's a lot of YouTube videos as well, and, you know, on how big your pack should be, what you should actually carry. Where you're going to be sleeping every night, because, you know, you have to figure that type of thing.
Sure.
You know, and I'd have to say some of the books are a little, they say it's a little easier than it is in some respects. One of the things that they say is, you know, you don't have to have a place to stay every night. You can figure that out on the walk. Well, that's not exactly true. And we had some of the people, I scheduled everything every day for the 34 days we were out there.
You're a planner.
I am a planner.
Yeah.
I was a group underwriter, so I knew exactly what I was going to do, how we were going to do it, and where we were going to do it at.
All right.
And, you know, so some of the guys, or people that were walking on it, you know, they said, oh, it's just going to stay at this next city or next town and things like that.
Yeah, I'll find some place to stay.
Yeah, they ended up on a church someday on the floor, you know, because there's nowhere else to sleep, you know. And
now that can be as much as that could, for some people, not be a good experience. I don't know where I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
I could see how that could be a little bit fun and exciting. You're like, hey, you're going to wing it. The universe provides. And then, I spent a night in this kind of this church in the middle of France or Spain or wherever I'm at. And that could be exciting, but I know how I am with my sleep. I can sleep just about anywhere, but it doesn't mean I want to sleep just about anywhere. Yeah, and then there's a safety issue, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, well, not so much a safety issue, because the Camino is extremely safe.
Okay.
And I started...
No sketchy places along the way? Or
No.
Not really. Okay.
We started, actually, as you pointed out, the Camino de France starts out primarily at St. John de Port.
Okay.
And that's
in France.
It's in France.
Okay.
And it's right before you start climbing over the Pyrenees.
Oh.
And the first 3 days are just hell.
Okay.
Because you're climbing over the Pyrenees.
Yeah.
You're climbing down the Pyrenees.
The Pyrenees Mountains are very up and down. What was the highest elevation? Do you have some type of wearable that you got your elevation, or you just by the maps?
So actually, the elevation is probably about 1,500 meters.
Okay.
So it's
not nothing.
No, it's not nothing.
Yeah.
And particularly the first day, you're walking almost 1,500.
Right, and you're coming from sea level, right? Because you're at the port, almost sea level, up to 1,500 meters.
Yep.
All right, in those first days going through the Pyrenees Mountains, which are is no simple task.
And as I said, there's a lot of planning involved. I
mean, I think in World War II that was a big problem.
It could have been,
right? Right? Isn't that where they had that? Didn't the French create that defensive line through the Pyrenees Mountains? Or am I not?
Well, that would have been in Spain, so I'm not sure they would have needed to do much in Spain.
I just remember whatever they did in France. There's that one mountain range or something. They created that whole line. That was this big defensive line. Anyway, whatever. I don't want to mix up my stories. But go ahead.
But
so climbing the Pyrenees in the first jaunt, first few days.
But again, looking at the books and what you read and things like that, they recommend that your backpack be about 10% of your body weight.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Mine ended up being just about that. It was at 18 pounds. Mm-hmm. And you got to figure out, what your clothes you're going to wear, how much you're going to wear. You didn't have to bring food because there were a lot of little towns along the way and other places to stop and those type of things. So you didn't have to worry about that. You had to worry about water, which water weighs a lot.
Yeah, sure does.
And
8 pounds a gallon.
It's amazing.
So that adds a lot of weight. If you're a 10-pound pack, you're bringing a gallon of water, which you're probably going to drink in a day because you don't really realize it when you're hiking and you're moving.
Right.
Even when you're, you don't have to be like sweating profusely. You just kind of sweat. And slowly, and you're breathing it out and all that stuff, and you need to stay hydrated for sure.
Well, I sweat a lot, and I sweat a lot on this trip. So having water with me was important.
Absolutely.
And just your shoes that you're going to wear. And as I said, I decided I'm not going to wear any long pants. It was just going to be shorts, t-shirts, and in the morning you had to wear something a little heavier because it was in the 40s in the morning, and then by the later afternoon, you were in the 70s and those type of things.
So you're losing a layer.
You had to figure out what you did and then put that in your backpack. So you take a look at all this. You planned it all out, and initially I planned out the first 4 days and then the last 4 days and I'll get to the last 4 days because it's 100 kilometers. In order to get their pass, you get a little certificate at the end of the day.
Oh, okay.
And they're really pretty cool, and they get your name in there and things like that. But in the last 4 days, a lot of people just joined that, and because they want the 100 kilometers rather than the 800 kilometers that you're actually walking from St. John.
Yeah.
So, but we were going to do it the hard way and start from St. John's and
let me hold you up in the story there. All right. So, and your friend's name was Al?
Alan.
Mm-hmm. So you and Alan, did you, besides, all right, so you had your friend, and she showed you the movie with Martin Sheen.
Yep.
Called The Way.
The Way.
I'll have to look that up and check it out.
It's a great movie.
See some of the sights you saw.
Yep.
Did you, besides just this being presented to you, were there any other? Are you a religious person? Are you a Catholic? I mean, this is often touted as this big pilgrimage of Saint James, who made this trek. Was there any of that was a motivator for you at all?
No, actually, it was not. I am Catholic, although I'm not a practicing Catholic.
All right.
But that was interesting on the way because, as you pointed out, it is more of a religious type thing. It passes every church along this way. If you get lost, just walk to the nearest church and you'll find the way again. You'll find the path.
All right. Well, that's kind of neat. Even if you're not, like I was raised Methodist, and I have my spiritual beliefs and things, but there's still something. Our country's fairly new in the world. when we think about like Spain and France and all these other countries. So when you come across a holy place or a church, no matter what the denomination is, I think there's just something that's kind of there's an energy there that's like, oh man, many people have come here to worship, and I just feel like there's good energy around those kinds of things. And there's something that's a little like inspiring or awe, full of awe about these kind of places. Did you get any of that?
Absolutely, you do. So along the way, in many of these small towns and even the bigger towns, they actually have masses for the pilgrims.
Oh, wow.
And so you go there, and many of them pray, and they go there, and they do all these things. And then at the end, in Santiago, they got a huge mass for the pilgrims. Because
that's the big finish.
It's the big finish.
That's the big deal. And it's amazing. You're talking about it's an absolutely huge cathedral, and it has 500-600 people in each mass that they actually have, and they have about 4 or 5 of them a day. Yeah,
that's absolutely stunning. But again, there are a lot of people that do this for religious reasons or for spiritual reasons. I did it because, as I said, I was turning 70 and I wanted to do something that I knew was going to be challenging, that was going to challenge me, and my buddy Alan felt the same way.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I mean, my 50th birthday, I got to climb the Grand Teton. Mm-hmm. So that was, I think those kinds of things are cool. I try and pick one thing a year to challenge myself. Right. Sometimes it's more on physical side. Sometimes the physical thing is mental. Because you're just like, grinding through it. It's like anybody could really do it, but it's like they don't. Right. Like anybody could walk. Not anybody, but you know what I mean.
I can tell you, not everybody can.
Not everybody can. That's for sure. Yeah, I say that to say, like, when you talk about like walking, you could always take another step, kind of thing. But not everybody can, for sure. And so I think it's great.
It was. And again, the preparing for this a year ahead of time and what we needed to do. I actually, as they said, I started looking in the books and say, well, I want to stay at this place and that place and this place. And then I started seeing that we were going middle of September, which is a good time to go because
I was just going to ask you, when did you start the journey and when did it end?
Yeah, we started the journey, actually, we were flying to Paris and then we took the train down to St. John. Okay. We actually started it on September 10th, and then we ended in October 14th. Okay. And again,
so you stuck to your game plan.
We wanted that time period because of the weather. Yeah. We knew that it was going to be a little less crowded because in the summertime, you get a lot of other people taken because of summer break and those type of things, and so a lot of planning ahead of time. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing some of these places that I want to stay getting booked up. So I said, to hell with it, I'm just going to book all 34 days. Okay. And that's what I did. We knew exactly how far we needed to walk each day. Some of the days were like 10 miles. Some of the days were 22 miles, things like that. Yeah. But you could plan for that. And we were staying at some hostels, which they call Biergos or something like that. Okay. In which, you're in a place with 20 other people.
Yeah, there's like bunk beds and stuff.
There are bunk beds.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 people in a room or more.
Or a lot more. Yeah. The first day, you're in a room and there's like 50 people in the room.
So what was what was that like? Now, have you stayed in hostels before in any of your travels?
I did. Okay.
So this wasn't like something you kind of knew what to expect.
Yeah, I
like somebody like I have friends, and when they travel around, like I have we have a little travel group that me and my friends, and my buddies. Like I've always been like a cheapskate. Like, it's nice to stay at a Ritz-Carlton or things like that, and the amenities. I wasn't used to that. Right. People introduced me to that kind of travel, And it is. It's a lot of fun. You have this big, massive room, big king-size bed. I stayed at the St. Regis one time around Christmas time, and somebody knocked on the door, and they're like, "Oh yes, I'll be your butler for the evening." And I'm like, "This is crazy. This is cool." But then I've stayed in $15 a night flea bags. Right. And it is what it is. To me, it's a place to lay your head. But now I've seen many sides of those things. So this wasn't like your first rodeo as far as staying at a hostel.
So I've traveled a lot. I've been to 74 different countries.
Oh, wow. You're well traveled.
Yeah.
Okay.
I worked for an international company, and Alan and I both worked together.
Okay.
So that's why we knew that we could walk this fairly well, and we could manage our way around those type of things. Yeah. The hostels that we were staying in were pretty well kept. You had to have your own sort of sleeping. I wouldn't say a sleeping bag. It was more of a sleeping sack in some of them, because you didn't want to just lay on their plastic sheets that they had and those type of things. Mm-hmm. And they were, some of them had very strict rules. Your shoes had to be outside. Sure. You had to be out of the place by 8 a.m. or else, the first place, it was hilarious, because at 6 o'clock they started playing this Gregorian chants to wake you up.
Oh, wow.
And the lights started coming on, and it'd be, it was very religious.
Yeah. That's a way to wake you up, huh? What is happening?
You had to get up early, and so you rush, you get a little breakfast or coffee or whatever it is you're going to go, and then you're shooting off the next, as soon as you could, because you didn't have a chance to do anything else. Everybody had to be out at 8 o'clock. That was an absolute rule. Yeah. So and we didn't,
because they probably have to clean up and make sure and just get. They don't want people hanging out in there. It's a place to sleep. Yeah. It's not a place to hang out. You're not, it's not a luxurious hotel room where you're, getting a bath and you're reading your book. It's like you came here to sleep and then be on your way.
Yeah, and that place was the, it was one of the first stop on the way from St. John. Okay. And almost everybody stays there. Yeah. So we're talking about, 300 people a night. Wow. And the room has 50, 60 people in it and those type of things. And, you're learning about some of the people. You run into them, Yeah,
everybody's got a story why they're there and where they're from.
Who they are
that's
and what's
cool.
going on. You have dinner together, which is a communal dinner usually. Oh, okay. And everyone's having the same type of meal. You're learning some new people. We were with a Korean guy and a guy from the UK the first day, and the Korean guy, obviously his name was Kim. They were always Kim. I travel in Asia a lot, so I know a lot of Asians.
Yeah, a lot of Kims. Okay.
and you start to see these people throughout the walk, because they tend to have sort of the same path. Sure. We're all on the same way, the same path.
But maybe somebody gets ahead of you for a little bit, or they get behind
you. Run into them again. Yeah. And so you get to know some of them. Some of the hostels are a little bit like that hostel had really good bunk beds. Yeah. Some of them don't. Yeah. And we were in this one in which luckily I grew up. I was the oldest of 5, so we had bunk beds in our house, and I always took the top bunk. Alan did not. He was he only could sleep in the bottom one. Okay. So it was always funny, because you see some of these guys that get on the bunk beds, they had no clue as to how to get in and get out of a bunk bed.
Oh, yeah, they've never been in a bunk bed.
Yeah,
right.
And they almost fell down. Yeah, it was crazy. But and then later on in the walk, we had small hotels, where he and I would have 2 beds in the room, and we just hung out that way. Gotcha. So there's a lot of different ways to walk on the walk. Sure.
You could really rough it, or maybe you could be a little more on the the softer side of things.
Well, and the prices were that too, as you pointed out. Usually if you're staying at the hostel, it was €10 a night.
What is that in American money?
That's $11, $12 a night.
All right, so it's not that big of a difference.
No, not that big a difference. And then sometimes, one place we stayed was a really fancy hotel, and that was about $200 a night.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's a big range.
Yeah.
But it makes it accessible, right?
Yeah, you can, and again, you can do a lot of these ahead of time on Booking.com or whatever you wanted to do.
Now, you said you did some research and you talked a lot about different books you were reading. Was there any one particular book you would recommend to anybody who's about to take on the road above all the other books that you felt like was the most helpful? Yeah. I'm sure everything has something a little bit, something to offer. But what was the one that was the most helpful to you?
Well, I thought it says Moon at the top, Camino de Santiago, and it basically had place day by day, place by place, little town by little town, and it had talk to you about each of the little towns and where to stay and what they thought was the best and those type of things.
Who's the author there?
Not even sure. I'll spell it. Beebe is the first name. Bee. And the last name is Bahrami.
All right. Bibi Barami?
I guess so.
All right, here it is. It popped up, so you did it.
Yep.
We got there.
And now
it's called Moon, Camino de Santiago, Sacred Sites, Historic Villages, Local Food and Wine.
And that was great.
By Food and Wine, by Bibi Barami, Beebebahrami, and it's Moon Travel Guide. So Moon Travel Guides are an umbrella of different travel guides that they write about a variety of things. This one in particular is called Camino de Santiago, Sacred Sites, Historic Villages, Local Food, and Wine. All right, so that was your most helpful book.
Yeah, and that book actually pointed out, the places that I wanted to stay and what I might want to see and those types of things. Because, again, you're traveling along Spain. I've been to Spain before. I've been to Barcelona
I hear it's
and
beautiful.
Madrid. But I've never been in this top part.
Sure.
Absolutely. And you're going through Pamplona, you're going to Burgos, you're going to Leon, and those type of cities. And these are really beautiful towns. But along the way, you're also in these little, I call them Camino towns, because there's nothing there except a place to stay and maybe a place to eat.
Okay.
And you're just there for the night, and you're moving on to the next place. That's 16 miles, 17 miles away.
So who's running these places? Like in these small little places where it's a place to sleep and maybe a place to eat. They're just local people.
Absolutely.
Who see all these travelers coming by, and they're like, hey, I can make a living off of this.
They're actually there for us, for the pilgrims. As they said, they're sort of Camino towns, and they do nothing but, that's what they do. Service us.
Yeah.
And they're in the middle of nowhere, some of them, because there's a lot of farming villages, on this northern route.
Sure.
That sometimes that's all you see is farmland.
Yeah.
You see nothing else. And but these little villages, they'll have a hostel, or they'll have a small hotel, or they'll have this or that, and they're just there for the pilgrims.
Yeah.
Period. And almost over 100,000 people walked on this France route in a year.
Wow.
So there's a lot of us.
That is a
there.
lot. Now, where would I look that up? Where would I look up how many people walk that? Is there here in the United States, I think of, we have the National Park Service.
Right.
So if somebody's, making how many visitors are there to Yellowstone or whatever? So is there like a service? Is there some type of organization that kind of like monitors this, or
well there is,
because somebody's got to give you this certificate, right? So I'm trying to is there what is the deal?
Here's my certificate.
Oh wow, look at all the stamps.
Right.
Now what are all those stamps? So Frank is holding up this sort of 4x6 card that unfolds accordion like, and it is this giant certificate. And who issued that to you?
So I got this issued through the U.S. Camino de Santiago company, or not a company. It's an organization. So they actually have a place supposedly in Philadelphia, though you can't find it.
So the United States.
It's a U.S. Camino credentialing that I got this through.
Okay.
And it's actually, I'm looking at it now, it says America Pilgrims Camino.
Oh, America.
Pilgrims on the Camino. And it's www.
There
America
we go.
Pilgrims Organization.
Say it again. www what?
AmericanPilgrims.org.
Pilgrims.org. There you go. Just in case anybody's out there, they're like, hey, this sounds cool. All right, so AmericanPilgrims.org is an organization. You can request a credential.
You get the credential.
There's a member login. I guess you can join. I guess you did join.
I did join.
All right, and it says find a local chapter and learn more. We inspire all who seek the spirit of the Camino to connect with the global community of pilgrims. Wow, and there's like cool pictures. Look at these beautiful cathedrals and things. All kinds of news, events.
They say they have a one in Philadelphia, but you can never find it. You will never find it. We try. Me and my buddy went down to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
They're not there, so it's just online.
It's somewhere. All right. Who knows? If you're out there, Philadelphia, we want to find you.
But, when you get this, they call it a passport, and basically every place that you stay or you just get a stamp. And so you get a stamp at each of the hotels that you want or places that you eat and things like that.
What a neat, tangible thing to kind of like bring back with you. You know, everything's so digital and online now. I was just thinking about that the other day. And, you are 70. And so, I grew up in a generation where we took pictures and then we had to wait to see what the pictures looked like because you had to wait for the film to develop. Maybe you went to the little photomat booth or whatever. And then you put them in a photo album. And I remember we had this cabinet in our living room. And it was, 4 or 5 photo albums in there. And some of them were really old pictures of my grandparents and their old pictures that they had. And, you don't have that anymore. We take a picture and it goes maybe on social media. How do you, and if you're not on social media or following other people, then you don't see it. And then to have something to go back and go I think it's always cool in our family that has passed on. You can go and look and I had an uncle who was in World War I and to look at a picture like that in his doughboy outfit, that that kind of stuff that you see is I love a tangible thing to kind of have. My wife always jokes around about, oh, Steve loves a brochure. I'm the guy who grabs the little brochure at the thing to read about the place or whatever. Right. And it's I want to know what's happening here, what the history and the flavor of it. Are you familiar with Anthony Bourdain?
Yes.
And I loved his shows. And one of the greatest things about his show was he didn't do what all the tourists did. He wanted to dive into what the locals did. Right. Where do the locals eat to get paella, or where do the locals eat to get, the fresh seafood you're known for, in wherever you're at, right. That kind of stuff. So right. I think that's really cool. I want to look at that in a minute. But
the other thing, as I set this up, is I set up a WhatsApp Camino group.
Okay.
So, are you familiar with WhatsApp?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. So, you can put a number of phone numbers in there and things like that. And so, I did all my families and friends and other friends.
Oh, so instead of having for our listeners out there, if you don't really know, right, everybody can have a group text or group Facebook messaging thing. But the nice thing about WhatsApp is it's international. So a lot of people, I have a lot of Indian clients, and they use WhatsApp because they're, traveling back and forth, or they're going to Europe. And WhatsApp is good because it's encoded on both ends or encrypted. So supposedly not everybody's looking at that, but who knows, what they're doing.
And you can add your photos and this and that and stories and
so it's a way to be social and be digital and kind of share that with everybody and hey Frank, how you doing? Hey, here's where I'm at today.
Exactly. And we had almost 50 people on it, and friends and family.
Oh, that's great.
And again, been international, so we have a lot of people overseas, you know, in Australia and Europe and this and that, you know, and Africa and whatever.
And everybody's like checking in on Frank's trip,
and they were able to
they
check
kind of travel with you. That's a great thing. Yeah.
And we'd take our pictures and put them on that day and talk about, you know.
Damn, I wish I should have. Why wasn't I added to the WhatsApp group?
I should have.
I should have asked to be added for sure.
But it was really good how it actually worked out. And then, you know, people would send something to us, like, you know, ask us different questions, like what did you see today, or what was it felt like that you were staying at this hostel and things like that.
That's so neat.
And then, you know, somebody, my wife actually, so she came with me to Port-de-France in St. John, and then she went off to see our friends in Scotland and England, and then she went to France. But, you know, in part of it,
where the ladies dance.
She actually went to the wine regions in France to learn how to speak French and took a French course and that type of thing.
Ooh la la!
But she was at this one cathedral there, and she says there was a Camino shell there, and one of the things about the Camino is the Camino shell that you actually carry with you, and that type of thing. So along this walkway, you see these Camino shells. It tells you that you're on the right path and things like that.
So this is like a seashell?
It's like a seashell.
All right. Is it an actual seashell, or is it something?
It's an actual seashell.
Okay.
I actually have mine in there. I can show you too afterwards.
I'd love to see it. And so this is like put somewhere, so you kind of like a trail marker.
You have it on your back. Backpack. But no, also they have it along the trail markers. They have all these, and usually they're you know, either painted or they're metal or something.
Now where did that come from? Where did this shell idea?
That came from St. James.
So when he made this pilgrimage originally, I guess he's walking from the ocean. 70. Well, actually, he came from the French and walked that way. Okay. So wherever he was, he had that, and then he had a seashell. He had the seashell. So it must have been by some kind of water, right? Yeah, probably. I would think some port or whatever. All right. I didn't read that much about him. Gotcha. Okay. But he actually did the walk in 1780 or something like that. Okay. Or not 17, in 780. 780. Not 17. That's not a big difference. 780. That's absolutely 780, St. James made this pilgrimage from France, the north of France? Or yeah, and you can imagine how incredible difficult this had to be. Very different, because there weren't little shops and hostels along the way. There certainly wasn't. Okay. And everywhere along the way, they talk about him and his miracles. One of the cathedrals you went into had these chickens in there because he saved some young man's life because they thought that he stole chickens, and they were going to hang him, and he says they can't hang him, you know, and he produced more chickens, whatever it was. Oh, wow. Oh, so there's all kinds of cool, like, stories like that. All kinds of stories along the way on St. James. Oh, neat. All right. Yeah. But yeah, so, you know, after, you know, getting ready for this walk and doing it, you know, me and Alan, we decided that, yes, we're going to take off. The first 3 days were, as I said, really difficult. And whoever does this, you know, you got to be very careful about it. We had great weather except for the first day. We were, you know, climbing over the Pyrenees, and it was pouring rain. It was raining so hard that there was this truck there that served coffee and things like that on the Pyrenees way up in the mountains. And the guy looked and he says, "I'm getting out of here." And he closed up and he left. And we knew that we were going to be in bad shape after that. I actually hurt my leg on the third day, and I had to take 1 day off in order to take a bus ride. And that was the only day that I had to do that. But there are a lot of people that couldn't walk it or got hurt on the way and things like that. So you got to prepare and get ready for it. Yeah, there's things that you could prepare for that you're never gonna that just happen, right? You twist an ankle by accident, and now you're like, I can't go on. Sometimes people can get a stress fracture, and it's literally just from the pounding and force of walking that many miles, and maybe your body just wasn't quite ready for it. All right, I did a little research here since you brought up about these miracles, and the first one was listed, the miracle of the hen and the rooster. A German boy is wrongly accused of theft and sentenced to be hanged. As he passes through Santo Domingo de la Calzada on his way to Santiago, his parents discover he is still alive after the execution. The local magistrate skeptically says the boy is as alive as the roosted hen and rooster on his plate. At that moment, the birds come back to life, crowing and clucking to prove the boy's innocence.
Right.
So that's what a crazy story, right?
and as I said, this cathedral actually has these chickens and birds. Or
they're
whatever
all in there
in the cathedral.
All right. So if you're afraid of birds, probably not the cathedral.
Well, they got them closed in, so you can't.
Okay. All right. So they're not like pecking you or pooping on you or anything.
No.
And then the next one listed right after it. There's several, of course, that happen along the way. The miracle of the scallop shells.
Right.
During a wedding by the sea, a groom on horseback is thrown into the water when his horse spooks at a mysterious boat. The horse and rider emerge from the waves unharmed, completely covered in scallop shells, which become the symbol of the Camino.
That's correct.
All right, so there we go. So now we got that's what I was trying to get at. All right, so what's the deal with the shells? So that's the miracle of the scallop shells. All right, that's pretty cool. And there's others. I'm not going to go into every single one. The reappearance of the executed boy, the bishop saved from the sea, the Eucharist miracle, the miracle of Carmen's Bridge, and the miracle of Santiaguino do Manta. I hope I said that right. Anyway, so lots of things that happen along the way here. Back in 780.
It is really pretty interesting and things like that. And again,
it makes an interesting part of the story.
When you're walking and things like that, the people will talk about it. As I said, it's the other thing about being international.
Yeah,
I always thank the English for making English the world's language. Because again, if you go to Munich for Oktoberfest, everybody speaks English.
Well, yeah.
You go on this walk here, everybody speaks English.
So that's nice. Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of people. We probably met people from 30 different countries.
Sure.
But they all speak English.
Well, I mean, language can connect us all. And when we have a hard time communicating, then we have a hard time understanding.
Exactly.
Right. So, all right. So, I don't know. Any other? We've got about, I'm going to say we're going to have about 15 minutes left here. Is there any big parts of the story? So you're making your way. We've talked about some hostels.
Making the way. Pamplona was great. It was very different than I thought it would be. You see the things on TV about the running of the bulls.
Yes.
And it looks like this little small village.
Yeah.
It is not. It's a city.
Yeah.
And it is beautiful and it is vibrant and the people were out late at night and they're all having an awesome time.
Well, I hear like in Spain, like they eat dinner real late.
Yeah, that's the one thing about they do have their siesta.
Yeah, middle of the day, everything's shut down. Man.
From 2 to 6 o'clock, it's pretty much everything's shut down. So Alan and
if I could nap from 2 to 6 every day, I'd be up late too.
So Alan and I, we were very good at having our setting our days. We'd wake up at 7:15 and would be out on the road by 7:45 because you go, you get packed up, you get everything ready on your package and what you're going to do. You have your coffee and maybe a croissant or something, and then we're on the road. But you wanted to get into the town hopefully by 2 to 3 because things will start shutting down.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to eat until after 6 or something like that.
Right.
And in the bigger cities, like as I said, I've been to Madrid and things like that for work, and you'd eat at 10 o'clock at night. Well, in these Camino towns, at least they were a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
They'd shut down from 2 to 6, but then you can eat at 7.
Yeah.
Which wasn't too bad when you're walking as many miles as we're walking.
Sure, you're hungry, you're ready to eat,
and we'd get to the town, we'd get something to eat fast, and then we took a nap actually.
Yeah.
To rest up and let our feet dry and get ready, and then go out and have dinner, and then go back to bed, and then get up at 7:15 again.
Okay.
Every day.
Every day. You had a big plan.
But yeah, you're right. These Camino, in Spain, they really do shut down, and
That's
there's no
crazy.
doubt about it. And in Sunday, it was even worse because sometimes
Nothing's happening. Yeah, it's very, right. It's part of the, it's the Sabbath.
It was,
Right?
it was
It's Sunday. You're supposed to be going to church, man. You're supposed to be going to mass or whatever. And so what did you do on Sundays? Or did you just make that a?
Well, luckily, and again, I'm from Pittsburgh, so I'm a big Steeler fan, and I actually had my Steeler hat.
Good for you.
One of the days it was a Sunday, and we made it a short walk because I was hoping to find a sports bar that would show the Steelers because they were playing in Dublin.
Oh,
and
that's right. Yeah, they were in Dublin this year. Yeah,
and it didn't happen that I could find a sports bar, so I just stayed in. But luckily there was maybe one little coffee shop that was open that we could get something. Mm-hmm. And there, you don't want to talk about miracles, but there was this one town.
Sure, I do. I love miracles.
that we got friends with this one group or from this couple that was from Ireland.
Okay.
And Bob and Ruth, we started walking with them a couple times, and we got to know them really well, and then as you said, from time to time they're off on a different route and we're off on a different route and different timing like that. Well, it was Sunday and there was not much going on, and Alan and I said, well, let's just get a beer at this one place. Only one place was open, and we're having a beer there, and all of a sudden we see Bob and Ruth coming out of nowhere, and they're saying, what are you guys doing here? And we said, what are you doing here? We can't believe it, you're here. And they got lost. They went through this minefield in Spain, had ordinances that said, do not walk. Oh. This is ordinances, exploding
stuff left
ordinances
over from other,
going like this.
Yeah.
It's where they practice in the military. It's actually practicing and things like that. And they walked through this thing, and then they didn't know where they were going. They actually had to go to the right. But Bob says, I think there's a place where we can get a beer to the left. And they walked into and they ran into us, and it was just amazing. That actually happened, and we didn't expect it, they didn't expect it, and it was one of those things that you just say. And if we didn't go out to have that beer, we wouldn't have seen them, and if they didn't go out and walk through this crazy minefield,
that is crazy.
And Ruth wasn't too happy about it, but Bob was like a crazy guy. So, but they were from Ireland, and they were fun.
That's a fun story.
Yeah.
All right. So, is there besides the trip? So there's so many things you could probably talk about. I mean, you were out there for 34 days, and each, every time you're coming into a new town, there must have been lots of cool things to see and experiences. Is there anything you would have changed about your trip? Like, I wouldn't have done that, or they really hyped this place up and it really wasn't all that. Like you could kind of skip that. Do you have anything that was like on the downside? I'd
say as far as where you're going and what you're doing, you had to have a certain expectation that, if I'm in a little Camino town, there's nothing there but, a little Camino town.
Yeah.
I'd say that the first 3 days you really have to get ready for it because you want to, as I said, over the Pyrenees. One of the things that's also interesting about this is you actually can have your backpack sent on to the next spot, which was really great in some days. If you're walking like 25 miles, you don't want to carry a heavy backpack. You just want a light backpack and things like that. And they had this company called Jocko that had the little QR code, and you put in the city that you were in, and they had a list of the places in that city. You clicked on that, and then the city you're going to, and they had a list of the places there, and you clicked on that. You had your backpack there at 8 o'clock, and it cost €6, which was like $7, and they automatically did it. And it was real funny. This one time we were staying at this hostel, and I didn't know quite where it was because, you got your WhatsApp and you do this and you got your Google and and I had it in there and it says, I think we're really close to it, but I don't know. It's off in the distance. So So we said, let's go and have a cup of coffee. Walked into this coffee shop, and it says, oh, there's my bag. This must be the place.
So it just happened to be.
My bag was there. I had my name on it, Frank, and things like that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'd say just the first couple of days, prepare yourself a little bit better. You can stop at you can start part of the way and then have rest up and then do the whole thing. We did it, and it took 8 hours, and it was
to get through like the first leg.
Leg.
Okay.
And
through
that
the Pyrenees.
was really hard.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe break that up a little bit. That's what you're saying.
That's what I'd say. And again, I think you need to spend time in some of these bigger cities like we did. We said we spent an extra day in some cities. So yeah, I'd say no.
So the whole trip wasn't all just like, because most of your trip sounded like you really had a plan. We got up here, left,
got up,
clanked, clocked our miles in, got to where we needed to be,
right,
and then spent time kind of recovering, eating, relaxing, whatever, a little sightseeing maybe, and then it's like, boom, go to bed, get up, do it again. But some places you took like some extra time, maybe an extra day or so.
Absolutely. In the bigger cities, they were great. And
so what were the bigger cities?
It was Pamplona, Burgos, and Lyon.
Okay.
And they were fantastic cities. I mean, just great time. In fact, you walked as much of those as you did on the walk.
Yeah, just walking around in a big old city.
10 miles easily, just walking around.
So many things to see, I'm sure.
My wife, as I said, was traveling in UK and France, and then she actually went down to meet me at the end of the day, and I was able to FaceTime her at least 3 times a day, which was great too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And just FaceTime her and say, well, what are you doing? She'd tell me what she's doing. She says, what are you doing? Well, I'm walking 8 miles today. Walking.
What was the most amount of miles you logged in one day? We did
25.
25 in one day.
Yeah.
That's not nothing.
That was nothing.
Yeah.
That was
something.
Anything that was under 15 miles, we'd call a milk run, because we walked roughly about 3 miles an hour.
Yeah.
In fact, we Alan had us on his watch, would tell us how many, every mile, how fast we were walking.
Your pace, yeah.
Which was great. Actually, I would recommend that.
Well, sure. So I've done a couple 50-mile rucks.
Right.
And you're right. If you want to get done by a certain time or be at a certain place, you have to keep a certain pace.
Right.
And then when you're falling off, and when you got to pick, and when you're feeling good, you can pick it up a little bit, kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's
Well, it was also important that we didn't burn ourselves out too.
Right. Because you got to walk tomorrow.
Exactly. and so when he'd be there and says, "Oh man, we just did an 18-mile or an 18-minute walk," he says, "That's a little bit too fast. Let's slow it down a little bit."
Yeah. Okay.
And but we
just as important. Pacing's important.
So we try to keep it at 20-minute miles. The other thing that was really important is we had sticks.
Trekking poles. Sticks. Yeah. Did you find them helpful?
Really important.
Okay.
Not only on the inclines and decreases, but in the flat things too. Just to mark your time and how you're doing and what you're doing. Plus, you don't want to walk with your hands down, because then all of a sudden they just get full and things like that. So having the sticks was fantastic.
Wearing a pack, so that strap, I mean, you can't avoid it. Even if you have a hip belt, a nice hip belt on a pack, when you're walking for any distance, that strap that kind of pulls, it goes across your trapezius muscle, your shoulder. And there's lots of nerve endings and blood flow in there. And that slight compression, and you're walking down with your hands at your side. Your hands get edema. They're not.
They start to blow up. And
not getting the circulation. They can feel kind of numb and get tingly and stuff. So yeah, using those poles and keeping things moving with your arms is pretty important.
Yeah.
To keep your circulation going and to kind of give you some. They really, I found that, some people swear by them, and I've used them here and there, and they can be really helpful for sure, especially if the terrain's a little sketchy. It just helps you. It's just 2 more points of contact, so you don't, or even if you do trip or something, you kind of have some stability there.
Right.
But giving you that, you don't think about it, but that little push you get with those sticks. It really helps. Keeps you moving.
Yeah, and you can. It just helps the body flow. Going downhill was very important. There's this in this area they called the Dragon's Tooth because it was so steep and it was just so rocky.
Jagged,
and the rocks were sticking up like and sometimes you'd walk down and say, I don't know how I'm going to get down this. It's going to be crazy. And you get down it, but it's not easy, you know. And,
it's not like walking up and down the parking garage stairs.
No, it's
a little different.
And they keep the Camino in different regions very nice. You know, they're always
up.
marked, and they clean them up sometimes. In fact, the only injury I got was they were out there with the cleaning them up, and I got just a cut on my leg because of that, because they were
weed whacking or something.
Weed whacking it,
something flew
and things like that. And so we're walking by, but they weren't paying that much attention to us.
I gotcha. They're like, we got work to do, buddy.
Yeah,
keep trekking. Wow, so interesting. Eric, do you have anything?
No, it's just fascinating.
I know. Well, it's such a great thing.
Yeah.
All right, so the last 100 kilometers.
Right.
We'll wrap it up with. So what happens in because you seem to say that a lot of people do just that last 100.
That's always the interesting
kilometers.
One because, again, you're supposed to get at least 2 stamps a day on the last 100. And, in order to get the certificate, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Frank is holding up his certificate.
Yeah, it's pretty cool when it's got my name in Latin and things like that.
Neat.
And so all of a sudden, where there's like a couple hundred people that are walking this, you sort of run into it. All of a sudden, there's a lot more. And many of these individuals, are not used to walking. And, we've already walked, 400 miles.
Well, you're like a veteran now. You've already done hundreds of miles. For sure. And all the training that you went in to put it to do the hundreds of miles.
To get it and things like that. And it's like, okay, get out of our way, guys. We're just trying to get by you because
it's like shoebies at the shore. When people live at the shore and then like all the tourists come in for the summer and they call them shoebies. They're like, oh, look at these people. They're here for a week. Get out of my way. You're messing up my beach.
And that's the way it sort of feels. And and again, they're in groups and they don't know what they're doing. And you can also bike on this too. So the bikers they had a harder time in the last 100 kilometers.
Because it's so crowded,
things.
Right?
And just so many more people, and it's like, okay, well, this is not as much fun as the rest, but you only have 3 days and that last 100 kilometers to get back in there. And then the last day is fantastic, and my wife was waiting for me right in front of the cathedral.
Oh, nice!
And she comes running up to Alan and I.
Was it emotional?
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
It was. She was just so happy to see us, and we're so happy to see her. And
you did it. There's got to be a feeling of accomplishment, you know.
And then we went to the Pilgrim Mass the next day, as I said, and that was fantastic. They had this gigantic incense thing.
Yeah.
That they run. When you see the movie, you'll see it. It's just fantastic.
They have a picture of it on the website, AmericanPilgrims.org.
Yeah.
It's one of the pictures they have. Is this giant incense burner?
Right.
That typically, if you're a Catholic out there, the priests and whatever acolytes are swinging the incense through to carry your prayers to heaven and all that kind of stuff.
So the interesting thing about this is they did this for years and years and years, and it used to be that they did it at the beginning of the Mass because the pilgrims smelled so bad.
Correct. There's a lot of reasons. Yeah, it's more than just spiritual reason why they wave this incense around, because you were stinky.
Yeah, I know, but now they do it at the end, so everybody has to stay there till the end. So
to see the big incense thing. Yeah. There's other stories, I don't know if you've ever heard that, where the different things that they used to burn in the incense. Some people think that there was, cannabis being burnt in the incense and other things that sometimes were psychedelics and things. So people have these experiences. It's pretty interesting.
But we were sitting there, and it was going over our heads, and this thing is huge.
It's huge.
They got 8 people pulling on this thing to make it swing.
Like swinging a bell ringer,
And it's like just unbelievable. And you could actually see the fire in the incense thing.
So it's swinging
amazing.
is it so, how big would you say it is? I mean, I see this picture, but it's hard to.
It's probably 5 feet tall, the incense
5
thing.
feet tall. All right.
And it's about 3 feet wide, and it goes up above your head.
So that's like, you know how people have these chimenellas and these little stoves that they burn in their backyard. It's like something that size swinging through the cathedral over your head. That's kind of cool.
And it's at least 100 feet high above your head.
Okay.
And things like that. But at the end of the day, you go and you get your certificate, and everybody is through the whole trip. Everyone says the same thing: "Bien Camino," and that's the thing: "Bien Camino, Bien Camino," and all the locals are so happy to see you as well, and when they know that you're a pilgrim because you're carrying a backpack and you get sticks, you know? And it's really exciting.
That's so neat. Frank, thank you for coming in and sharing your experience. These are the things I like to talk about. It's just people in our community doing some really cool things. I could talk to you all day and ask you lots of questions. You had 34 days of a trip that we just barely kind of touched on. But again, if you're out there, so Frank gave us some great resources. One is the AmericanPilgrims.org. You can go on that website. It talks about planning. There's local chapters and things. And, of course, you want to get that certificate and that cool little passport you get to get your stamps in. And, Frank, are you on Facebook or anything?
I am, although I don't do much on Facebook. You
don't do much on Facebook. No. Well, I would say look Frank up on Facebook, but he's not really on Facebook. If you wanted to,
you're not going to see anything out there.
You're not going to see anything out there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I did. That's why I did the WhatsApp, because they were my friends and families and things like that. It was great.
Well, thank you so much for coming in.
You're
Eric,
welcome.
do you have anything?
No, that was it. And just to add to that, as far as we can reshare that video that you posted as well, and listeners can check it out.
Sure.
That was the one thing I was just going to mention.
A brief thing. And so, Frank, if you have any friends out there, they can go to our website at 953wche.com and then look up. We'll archive this interview, and your friends can listen in to your interview here. And we share that stuff. So.
Yeah, actually, I did put it on my WhatsApp thing, and I got a lot of people saying
everybody.
they're going to listen to it.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, if you're out there listening and you're one of Frank's friends, I'm really upset that I wasn't on the WhatsApp invite. But that's my fault. I didn't think about it. I just stopped this guy in the middle of the street, and such a nice guy. You were so welcoming, and so like, hey, yeah, sure. What am I doing? Rucking? Oh, yeah, okay.
I had no idea what rucking was. So
well, did you ever look up anything about it?
Oh, yeah, we did.
Okay, so now you know. Now you got the deal. Yeah, there's lots of people that do things like that. Anyway, Frank, say your last name again.
Weltz.
Weltz. W-E-L-T-Z. E-L-T-Z. Frank Weltz. And Frank did the Camino de Santiago over 34 days. And how many miles?
It's about 500.
Actually, 500 miles.
You walk more than that because you're doing other things, but the whole thing is about 500 miles.
Yeah, if you're just doing the route, but then you were doing a lot more other sightseeing and things along the way. Yeah. So, wow, so cool. Thanks for coming in, Frank. Thank you so much. I consider you a friend of the show and a friend.
Good.
Yeah, because we have each other's numbers now. And if you're ever out there and you want to join our Ruck Club, we'd love to have you.
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah.
But the one thing is, anybody that that reaches to you and want to know more about this, you can get in contact with me, and I can tell them what to do and what not to do. I'd be willing to do that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for offering that up. So there you go, listeners. If you're thinking about, you can get some firsthand from somebody who did it. You can reach out to me, and I'll hook you up with Frank, and you guys can talk about maybe planning out your trip and all that kind of stuff. So